is over.
What's up, everybody? This is the hot tag on a Flashback Friday, and I am Jeff Watson. Gonna be flying solo tonight, but glad that all of you could make it this evening. So, before I get started here, I want to shout out a few people. Hopefully, my sound is okay today, um, because I'm going with a different microphone. So I'm still trying to work on all of our sound issues. I went back and listened to it last night. I didn't hear a whole lot of issues, but I know some of you guys were saying that I was a little bit low. So we're gonna keep working on that, and yeah, and just keep doing what we're doing. So just want to shout out a few people: Kevin Correa, Eric Haberman, Josh Mickelson, DJ B Tazzy. Yeah, I got to get some of those pepperoni pizza wings, man. Um, let's see here. Who else we've got? Monica King, James Chadwick. I'm trying to see. Wrestling Days fan, Hayden Garrett, Sonny Wolf, Dave in real life. We've got Nails joining us from Twitch. Yeah, I think we're good to go right now. So, um, as always, thank you all for joining us. And if you have not done so already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're also on Twitch, Facebook, Periscope. So if you want to join us on any of those, please do so. We are really encouraging people to join us on Twitch. We want to get our viewership up over there because we've got some exciting things that we really want to do going forward on Twitch. So really looking forward to growing that platform as we continue to move ahead and evolve here. Tomorrow night, as all of you know, we will be. DJ B Tazzy says he's gonna find a way to FedEx me some. I appreciate that, man. I really do. I am Taz. How are you? Thank you for joining us. As you all know, tomorrow night we are going to be doing a watch along for Talking Shopomania. If you haven't seen any of the trailers or any of the teasers for that, please go check those out on Twitter. They're hilarious. I will say that tomorrow night will not be a very PG show in terms of Talking Shopomania. Um, so just be warned. It's not going to be very PG. So I'm just giving you that disclaimer right now. I am TS. I'm good. I'm really good. Hope you are doing well today too. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Just a little bit different. And first, before I get started here and explaining what we're going to do, I want to give a shout out to Brandy Smith, um, and just say, you know, we're thinking about you. We hope you get well soon. Um, you know, as all of you know, Brandy's been dealing with COVID and trying to overcome that. So, you know, please send your well wishes, prayers, thoughts, and everything for Brandy because she's trying. She's definitely trying to battle this thing, and you know we're all thinking of her. So, Brandy, if you're listening, I'm not sure if you're in the chat or if you're listening, but if you are, please know that we're thinking of you and we want you to get back soon. But we also want you to get better. Health is first. So don't worry about any of this. We've got you. That's what family does. We have each other's backs. So we got you. We got you covered. Tyler Hahn, how are you? Um, got a lot of positivity here in the chat for Brandy. So definitely love that. So today, what I wanted to do is take you down a little different path. as many of you know, I was a professional wrestler at one point in my life, but first and foremost, I was a wrestling fan first. Started very early on as a child. My mom, God rest her soul, was a huge wrestling fan, so she kind of passed that down to me, and that's how I got involved in watching wrestling and being interested in wrestling. And during the Monday Night Wars, my mom would be sitting right there with me watching uh, WCW Nitro and Monday Night Raw. So she was definitely a huge influence on my wrestling fandom, to say the very least. We went to a match at the Greensboro Coliseum when I was very young, and that was my first uh, live event. So really cool stuff. But what I wanted to do today is just talk about some major influences on my life in terms of wrestling. Some of the wrestlers that I really enjoyed growing up. Really, just really love these guys, and for different reasons. So we're gonna get started here, and the first guy I want to bring up is the one and only Roddy Piper. And for those of you who don't know, today marks the 5 year anniversary of Roddy Piper's passing. So, um, you know, definitely, we're sending thoughts and prayers to his family. Um, but Roddy Piper was just one of a kind, and his ability to cut promos and be this heel that he was. Oh my goodness, just so incredible what he did in his career. And I got the shot there of the Piper's Pit where he smashed the coconut over uh, Jimmy Snuka's head, and that's a very iconic moment in wrestling history. So we've got KJ Carter in the house. KJ, I'm doing great. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Um, yeah, Roddy Piper was just awesome. His ability to talk um, is one of the things that many people in the wrestling business look to as a template or a blueprint in terms of how to cut great, heel promos and be a great heel. In my opinion, he's one of the greatest heels of all time, if not the greatest. Uh, you know, it depends on how you classify Ric Flair. I've kind of got them neck and neck in that regard, and there are so many others, and I don't want to leave anybody out. But Roddy Piper, went all over the place. I mean, he was everywhere. He was in WWF when it was WWF at the time, and he did some work on commentary and has some legendary moments there. He's the one that said during the Survivor Series when Undertaker debuted, "Look at the size of that ham hock." That was Roddy Piper. Just an iconic guy, and then he goes on to WCW, and you know is there for a little bit. He spent some time in TNA. Like I said, he's been all over the place. He was all over the place, but a lot of people don't realize that he debuted in 1969, and if you're looking at his date of birth, compare it to his in-ring debut, then that kind of that gives you an idea of how early on he started his wrestling career. And for him to get praise from Bobby the Brain Heenan on his promo skills as one of the best guys on the microphone, that says a lot, because Bobby the Brain Heenan is legendary in his own right. So if you don't know about Bobby the Brain Heenan, I encourage you to go look up some Bobby the Brain Heenan stuff on YouTube. He was awesome, but he heaped a lot of praise on Roddy Piper. So definitely one of the greatest heels, one of the greatest personalities and characters of all time, in my opinion. And yeah, he was just what he did for the business. I, you just can't you just can't quantify how much he meant to professional wrestling. So, Roddy Piper definitely had a major influence on my life. There might have been a couple times when Roddy Piper said some things and I repeated them, and my mom was not too happy about that. But that's a story for another day. Roddy was just, again, he's just a legend, and yeah, I just cannot say enough about the man and what he meant to the wrestling business. So from there, I'm going to go to another legendary, very legendary wrestler who he actually was in the first match that I saw live, and that is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Now, there are a lot, I don't know if many of you out there know a great deal about Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, but my goodness, you want to talk about a ring general, you want to talk about the ultimate baby face. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is your guy. Had some legendary matches with Ric Flair. I mean, just if there were ratings back in the day, those were 5-star classics. So, definitely one of the greatest technicians in the ring of all time. Uh, one of the one of the guys that just, I mean, he was so good. And not only did he have those matches with Ric Flair, but then he put on a classic with the Macho Man, Randy Savage. And I mean, that WrestleMania 3 match between those two, that that's probably one of the best matches that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, that is definitely one of the best matches I've ever seen. And yeah, Hayden Garrett says here, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat final match was against Chris Jericho in 2009. And to be honest with you guys, at that point, I mean, you could tell that he was older, but my goodness, I mean, he still put on a great match with Chris Jericho. And, I really wish that some of the other guys, like, I would really love to see a match between Ricky Steamboat and AJ Styles, or Ricky Steamboat and Daniel Bryan, because that would be, those would be classic matches that I think fans could really get behind. And it's a shame that he didn't get to do some of those matches. But honestly, if you want to see some great in-ring action, check out his matches against Ric Flair. They, like I said, they had a legendary feud. And for those of you that are young, uh, back in the day was back in the day, these guys kept kayfabe all the time. So, when they would travel places, they would be in airports and they would avoid each other because they didn't want fans to see them kind of palling around and hanging out. There were a few times when my mom, she traveled a lot for her job, but she would see both Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat, and she would talk about how they just, went opposite directions. And one time she was on a trip to Nashville, I believe. She told me, and both of them were on the same plane, so they, sat separately so they could keep up kayfabe. And um, it's just listening to some of those old stories about how these guys used to live their gimmicks and live their characters and maintain kayfabe, all to protect the business, and you know, not not give people that behind the scenes look is pretty awesome. But yeah, Ricky Steamboat, definitely one of the greatest in ring technicians of all time. And yeah, it's just amazing. And yeah, Neil says, I love the old stories about kayfabe. I do too, because you know, you think about some of the legendary things that they had to do, and obviously we had Nikita Koloff on our podcast earlier, and he talked about the fact that he had to maintain his character. He lived his gimmick all the time, and people really thought he was from Russia, and people threatened him as a result of that because of the times and how contentious things were between Russia, the old Soviet Union, and the USA at that time. So, think about that being that character and having to portray that character outside of the wrestling ring, and you're getting hate from everyone because they think you're from Russia. They think you're one of the bad guys. So, yeah, those stories are legendary. I would encourage you, if you don't know a lot about old school wrestling and kayfabe, there are a lot of shoot interviews on YouTube and a lot of other places that discuss what these wrestlers did in order to maintain it. And there's some pretty funny stories out there, um, particularly with Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Iron Sheik, and I'll let you go find that one because it's hilarious. Nell says, I wonder if they bumped into each other in the airport, they would have to shout insults at each other. Honestly, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt if these two guys, if they saw each other in the airport, if they started, yelling back and forth at each other or doing some type of showdown or face off, and um, and just kind of keeping up the gimmick and keeping everything going for kayfabe and for the business, and honestly, that tells you how dedicated these guys and women were back in the day to carry that with them all the time. I mean, you look at someone like the Undertaker, who for years no one knew anything about Mark Calloway. He was always the Undertaker, and no one knew anything about him. That's why it's so cool now to see a documentary that gives us insight on who he is as a person. And um, yeah, I mean, it's just amazing to see what they did to keep this up. Uh, Days fan, I don't know who disliked the video. Maybe they disliked my southern accent or something like that. But um, we'll forgive them this time. So my next wrestler here that I feel like really made an impact on my life is the one and only Jake the Snake Roberts. And I from his promo work to his in-ring skills, just absolutely amazing. His DDT, the DDT that he did, it just looked so vicious, and it was so well done. And I mean, he was just so technical in the ring. And then you couple that with the fact that he comes down to the ring with this huge snake, Damien. And for those of you who didn't see it, he had a match against the Macho Man. So we're bringing up the Macho Man again. And Damien bit the Macho Man. And that story about them talking about it in the back, where Macho Man said, how bad does it hurt, and I'm pretty sure the story goes that Jake the Snake actually had Damien bite him just to show Macho Man that, hey, I'm okay, so so it's fine, you can take the bite. And Jake talks about how he just did everything he could to just make Damien mad before the match. And once he pulled Damien out of the bag, um, he latched on to Macho Man and he would not let go. And honestly, that was just a remarkable story. So if you ever get a chance to hear that origin story, that's cool. Because I mean, Jake the Snake was just on another level. His promos and how dark they were, and his cadence, and how he spoke during his promos was very deliberate, very slow and methodical, and it was done like that on purpose. He did that because he wanted to instill fear, not only in his opponents, but he wanted to come across as a really strong heel for the fans. And I mean, mission accomplished. Mission accomplished because my goodness, that man was just, oh my goodness, he was just amazing. Um, and I agree. I know some of you are saying it here, like James Chadwick says, it's a travesty that he never won a title in WWE. He should have been. He should have been the WWE champion. And I don't want to rehash a lot of the things that he went through personally, but he had a lot of demons that he had to fight, and with addiction and different things. So, um, and another thing that I would recommend to all of you who haven't watched it yet is Beyond the Mat, and that's currently on Netflix. But that gives you really that was really like the first look behind the scenes of wrestling back in the day. It gave you insight into Mankind, so Mick Foley, but it also gave you some insight into Jake the Snake Roberts. And um, I encourage all of you, if you're a wrestling fan, go back and watch. Uh, go back and watch, so you can check that out. Yes, Nails. Nails says yes. Wasn't he paranoid he would be poisoned? He told Jake, "Don't you take no antidote when I leave." Yeah. So Macho Man thought that Damien was a poisonous snake, and he was scared and out of his mind about that. He's like, I don't want this. I don't want this snake to bite me. I don't want to do that. And rightfully so, because I wouldn't want a snake to bite me either, to be honest with you. So yeah. And again, I see some of you saying this here in the chat that you're glad to see him working in AEW now. Absolutely, because he has so much to give back to the business. I mean, so much. There's so much that he can teach some of the young wrestlers about how to cut a promo, how to develop your character, and really hone in on what it is that you want to do with your character. And if you're a heel, then how to really develop that psychology of being a great heel. And that's something that he can pass along to young men and women that are entering the wrestling business. So I'm so glad that he's getting another opportunity to showcase what he can do and help some other people along the way. Obviously, some of you probably know that he took some time with Diamond Dallas Page to do DDP yoga, and not just to get in shape, but to really change his life. And that's what he's done. And I'm happy for him. I think it's a travesty, like James said, that his personal demons got in the way of his career, and that cost him some opportunities, and rightfully so, because you can't have a man or a wrestler, a man or a woman, that has personal battles like that be the face of your company. And I know that a lot of people called for him to win the championship, but again, that's a tough sell from a PR standpoint, to have someone struggling like that with addiction, um, to be out in front in terms of your company. A lot of you are mentioning the resurrection of Jake the Snake. That is an awesome, awesome documentary as well. So yeah, definitely check that out too. I know Brandy had been searching for it, um, and she finally got a chance to tune in to that, and she loved it. So um, I'm gonna recommend it to all of you because it is absolutely fantastic. Um, so Johnny Bates says that they took it off of Netflix in the UK. So yeah, I hate that. I know they have it on YouTube, but I forget how much it costs on YouTube. But yeah, if you get a chance, definitely go check it out because it's amazing. It really is amazing. Um, Thank you, Wrestling Days fan. He says, great episode, Jeff. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Obviously, I'd like to have my tag team partners with me, but honestly, sometimes we have to do what we have to do. So, I'm doing the best that I can in terms of flying solo, and hopefully, you guys are enjoying this tonight. So yeah, the last wrestler that I would like to talk about, and then we'll get into some questions and have a little discussion about some classic wrestlers that you all like. The last person I want to talk about here is the icon, the franchise, the one and only Sting. And yes, I am the one man band tonight, Sean Rousset. I am the one man band, so that is me. One MB tonight. Uh, Sting. Sting burst onto the scene, and for those of you who don't know this, he actually started out as a tag team wrestler with Jim Hellwig, aka the Ultimate Warrior, and they were in the tag team, the Blade Runners, and I mean, both of those guys were just massive. I mean, massive. You could tell that these guys lived in the weight room. I mean, they just lived in the weight room. And if you look at some of these older pictures here that I have of Sting on the screen, um, he's actually smaller there than what he was when he was in the Blade Runners. So so yeah, I mean he oh my goodness, he when he burst onto the scene, he had this bleach blonde hair, the high top cut there, and just I mean just amazing to see his energy and to see him in in these matches um against Ric Flair. He went to a time limit draw with Ric Flair, and that was one of the best matches that I've ever seen. I mean, it's like Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat, and not far under that is Sting and Ric Flair um, with the NWA Championship on the line. I mean, that match, oh my goodness, what a match that was. Um, because I really love both guys at that point. So I was torn, and my mom was rooting for Ric Flair, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna pull for Sting. So um, yeah, I mean he was awesome, and yeah, Sting and the Ultimate Warrior. Um, I mean, think about having those two guys standing across the ring from you, and they're big muscle bound guys, and probably really stiff in terms of work. Those clotheslines were probably a little stiff, and a little snug. But hey, I mean their gimmick, it worked. They looked absolutely physically imposing during their run, so I was immediately drawn to Sting. And like I said early on, he had the face paint, the crazy colors, and the bleach blonde hair, and I love that character because he just had so much energy, and you just felt like there was no stopping Sting. And then we get the turn, and wrestling in the mid to late 90s began to change a lot. And people were kind of getting away from the heroic big guys that like Hulk Hogan and the ultimate baby faces. They were kind of getting away from that, and it was more about presenting an edge and kind of being cool and doing some different things. So that's when Sting, um, that's when Sting adopted the Crow character, and the build up that WCW did for that reveal was, I mean, it was just it was it was perfect because you go from having a character that talked a lot and he very charismatic to he was completely silent, I think, for over a year. He didn't say anything on WCW TV, and didn't really. He came out, from the rafters, and he had his black baseball bat, wearing all black, in his black leather trench coat, and he just point. And a lot of people like myself at that time, because he was so synonymous with carrying that WCW brand, we were all like, "Oh my goodness, is he gonna join the NWO? Is he the third guy? Like, really, is he the third guy in the NWO?" And that whole thing, the way it played out, was just amazing as well. But yeah, um, Nels brings up a good point. Sting fell for a lot, though. He never saw someone about to turn on him. I believe that Sting was the ultimate. Um, he was the ultimate baby face. So he always saw the good in people, and then when they turned heel on him, it was like, oh my goodness, why did they do that? And I mean, all of us could see it from a mile away, but Sting never saw it. And to his credit, he played the babyface role very well. The one thing that I don't know if a lot of you have seen, um, but his time in TNA I thought was awesome, and particularly when he took on the Joker. When he took on that Joker persona and tried to do a brief heel run as the Joker there in TNA, I thought that was amazing because it gave us an opportunity to see him in a completely different. We had never seen Sting as a heel before, so you know, could it really work? And I mean, a lot of people, yes, the Dave in real life says, the main event mafia. That's right, absolutely. A lot of people kind of hated on it, but I loved it. I mean, I thought that gave him an opportunity to really let loose and be a completely different person. Because for those of you that don't know Sting outside of his work in wrestling, he's a very devout Christian man, um, a very kind man. Um, there's so much stuff going on in the chat right now. I'm trying to keep up, but yeah, he was so good as the Joker in TNA, and had a good run there. Honestly, I wish that he had made his debut in WWE a lot sooner than what he did, because think of some of the matches that we could have gotten in the WWE if he had come in right after his time with WCW. I mean, we're talking about The Rock. We're talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin at the tail end of his career, Kurt Angle, The Undertaker. There were so many matches that could have happened if he had gone there a little bit earlier. But he came when he came, and he had his match against Triple H, which I know some of you probably didn't like because it looked like WWE was trying to stick it to WCW again. I know that's been the case out there. A lot of people have said that, but I wish he would have gone to WWE a lot sooner, because my goodness, all the matches. I'm forgetting about a match against Shawn Michaels, um, a match against Triple H. Before they got to the point that they were when they wrestled at WrestleMania. I mean, that was, oh my goodness, that could have been. There could have been so many iconic matches that Sting could have had in WWE, and it didn't happen. But he came in, and the match against Triple H at WrestleMania, when you had DX and NWO come out, that was really cool. That was a nostalgic thing for the fans there, and it was really cool. to see that, and brought back those Monday nights when I was younger and watching, trying to keep up with both shows, and trying to keep up with all the wrestlers, and that was just a really cool moment. Nails asked ask another question here. I promise I won't stand on my soapbox about this one, but WCW did a lot of wacky stuff. I mean, just a lot of wacky stuff. And they tried to do some crossover stuff with Hollywood, and they had Sting kind of pair up with RoboCop. And if it sounds goofy, the way it played out was even worse. So, and I'm pretty sure they eventually tried to bring in Chucky from Child's Play, and that was just, yeah, WCW at the tail end was just really, really bad. Um, Dave just said that in the chat here. Dave in real life, remember when Chucky was on WCW? Oh yeah, I remember, and man, it was terrible. Oh my god, it was so bad. But that's the kind of stuff that they were trying to do. But it was terrible. Yes, Nails, that really happened. Chucky, Dave, or James, or whoever remembers that. Can you tell me who they tried to have him have a match with? Was it Scott Steiner? I believe it was Scott Steiner, which was even more of a train wreck. Not that I don't like Scott Steiner, but yeah, it was really bad. The whole they had them cut promos against each other, and it was terrible. It was really, really bad. But that's just what WCW did at the tail end, because they knew that they were kind of grasping at straws. Oh, it was, I believe, okay, it might have been Rick Steiner. That okay. I knew it was one of them. Johnny Bates says it was Rick Steiner, wasn't it? Yeah, Rick Steiner. Yeah, yeah. I mean, DJ B Tazzy brings up a good point here. Um, I don't know how many of you know about Rick Rude, and the fact that you brought that up, DJ B Tazzy, we might have to do a Rick Rude episode of the Hot Tag, because Rick Rude was another guy that was just the ultimate heel. I mean, just the ultimate heel. And early on in his career, he'd come out with his airbrushed tights, and he'd drive the women crazy by like shaking his hips, and he was just ripped. I mean, he was just shredded. Just, I mean, he had a great look about him. And the match that he and Sting had, oh my gosh. I mean, that is a very underrated match. Very underrated. The other thing that's really funny too is that Rick Rude selling. Um, oh my gosh, Rick Rude selling the atomic drops were just legendary. um, they were just legendary, and I think there's actually a Twitter account right now out there that is just Rick Rude selling atomic drops. And if you want to laugh, it's so funny because he takes the inverted one, and then he takes the regular one, and it's like he starts kind of hobbling around because he got his jewels hit. I'll try to keep it as PG as I can. But but yeah, Rick Rude selling was just amazing. So Wrestling Days fan, I have no idea why they chose Chucky. Um, yeah, I just don't know why they chose Chucky. They did a lot of things near the tail end of their run that just looked, it was just stupid. I mean, it was just really stupid. Um, because again, they were just grasping at straws, and at that point, WWE was really hitting their stride, and they were really doing well in terms of the crossover between professional wrestling and mainstream athletes and movie stars and that kind of thing. They really knocked it out of the park. Yes, that is right. James Chadwick says it was leading up to Halloween Havoc. Yes, that is correct. They were trying to promote a Chucky movie. I believe it was goodness, is it Bride of Chucky, or I forget which one. But yeah, they were cross promoting the movie and trying to get WCW out there. Oh my goodness, Johnny Bates, Judy Bagwell. Oh my gosh. One day, guys, we're gonna do a series on the rise and fall of WCW, and we're gonna talk about some of these later matches that WCW did. They had Judy Bagwell on a forklift. They had Viagra on a pole match between Shane Douglas and Billy Kidman. That was atrocious. Because the video packages that they had leading up to that whole thing was just, they were both cringy and funny. Yes, DJB Tazzy says that might take a month. Yes, you are correct, because just to see some of the things that they did. Does anybody out there remember Glacier? Um, yeah, they had the San Francisco, the 49ers match. Yep, they sure did. Um, they had some Mortal Kombat characters. Glacier was the one that they built up so much. I mean, they did all of these teases for Glacier leading up to his debut, and oh my god, Glacier. I mean, you want to talk about a swing and a miss? Oh my god, it was so terrible. But they put so much into this, and um, and he just didn't pan out. And you think about some of the goofy gimmicks. I mean, I know we talked about Kevin Sullivan, and you think about the Dungeon of Doom, and man, I mean, you want to talk about some recycled gimmicks, and some gimmicks that just did not work. And then WCW would insult our intelligence, and 2 weeks later they'd repackage a guy. Um, they repackage a guy as something completely different. Yes, DJB Tazzy says, was he undefeated at one point? Yes, he was, and then they came to their senses. Um, you know what? That's what we need to do. We're gonna cover we're gonna cover the gimmick matches of WCW, just so people that aren't as familiar with WCW can just see how goofy some of the gimmick matches were. They had the Bunkhouse Stampede. Does anybody remember the Bunkhouse Stampede? I'm trying to think of some of the other crazy ones off the top of my head. Yeah, the World War III match. Trying to think what else they. Give me some other ones, guys. Chamber of Horrors. Oh, Brandy's in the house. Hey, Brandy. Thank you for joining us. We must have talked you up earlier, because we were giving you well wishes and just wishing you the best. Um, Great point here by Johnny Bates. WCW existed because Ted Turner was salty events. Um, yeah, Ted Turner wanted to have some wrestling on TBS and TNT, and he loved his wrestling, as he called it. Um, so yeah, they didn't run it. They didn't run it very well. So oh no, Dave, I know which match you're talking about, because that one had Dustin Rhodes and I forget who else, but the Bunkhouse Stampede. Um, I want to say that one was in a ring, but the one that had Dustin Rhodes on the back of the truck, I forget. I forget what that one was called, but yeah, there were some really bizarre matches. And then they had, when Dustin Rhodes left WWE for a time, King of the Road match. Um, Dustin Rhodes left WWE. He had a lot of success as Goldust, and then he left WWE. And then they had him debut this character called Seven, and he had like this white face mask on, and it was just really, really creepy. I'm not gonna get into the details of the match because it was borderline like, should they really be showing this? Is this guy like really that big of a creep? Um, but they WCW did some crazy stuff. Abdullah on the electric chair. Oh my god! Like there's so many things that WCW just did wrong, and oh man, it was just terrible. I mean, I'm sorry for continuing to laugh about it, but it's just funny because some of the things that they put in front of us, just they I don't know why they ever thought that they would work. Um, so I'm I'm gonna shut up now and take some questions, or if you guys want to just keep throwing out these goofy gimmicks that WCW had, keep doing that. You know, we let's have some fun here. This has been a really fun episode, and that was my intent because um, we've got enough crap going on out in the world that we all have to deal with on a day to day basis. So I wanted to make this as fun as possible because, um, it's tough right now. It's really tough right now, and if we can bring you a little bit of laughter and fun during the week, um, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Nels suggests that we should do some watch-alongs of these old silly WCW matches. That's a great idea, Nels. If you guys are interested in that, let us know. Like shout it out on Twitter. Um, if you guys have certain matches that you want to see, let us know, and Joe and I will talk about it, and we'll see if that's something we can pull together and do. Johnny Bates asks, "Will we ever see Jeff back in the ring?" The only Jeff that's getting back in the ring is Jeff Hardy, not this Jeff, because I tried that I think about 2 months ago, and I'm old. I'm very old, and my body did not like taking bumps again and training again. So you won't see me back in the ring. Uh, but yeah, it's I hate it because I really want it to. Yes, I know, Nails. Get off my lawn. Um, I wanted to get back into wrestling because I have a friend of mine who is starting another promotion that's about 2 hours away from where I am currently, and we worked together before, and I really wanted to help him out, and we um, had some ideas about what I could do to try and help him out, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. So Johnny Bates also asked, "What was my wrestling name?" Okay, funny story here. So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the old folk tale of um, John Henry, but that was kind of my gimmick to start out with, is a John Henry gimmick, because I'm a big guy. I'm pretty tall and pretty big guy, and so they thought it would be really cool if we had this throwback gimmick that you could come out to. So yeah, my My gimmick was John Henry, but my full name was John Henry James. Um, and it was I didn't really like it, but it was something that we had to go with for a little bit until things until I really developed as a wrestler. Um, that's what we did, and to start out with, I was just squashing people. I'd have matches that maybe lasted about 2 or 3 minutes, but I was just squashing people. But then once I got better at promos and in ring and all of that stuff, I really started to evolve my character. Nels says, "Tell us about your first and last matches." How about this? How about we save that for my episode of Ask the Insiders, because I want to get into how I started wrestling. Um, but what I'll do here is, and Days fan, I'm gonna turn heel on you right quick, okay? Um, because you're saying give me live streams about Eva Marie's best matches. Um, Days fan, that stream would last about 5 minutes, and most of that will be us introducing the clip that we're showing. So we can't stream her best matches because I'm sorry, we just can't. I'm totally joking. I'm that was a little too fun. I had too much fun there. I'm I'm sorry, Days fan. I'm only joking, kinda. She wasn't that bad though. She was okay. Not as bad as some people make her out to be, but she. Hopefully, if she ever returns to the ring, she's improved quite a bit. So I didn't say that, Sean Rousset. Sean Rousset says Eva Marie is an abomination. I didn't go that far. Oh gosh. James Chadwick. Who remembers the Yeti? Yes, I remember the Yeti. And I think it was the Giant, as he was known at the time. The Big Show. I remember them sandwiching someone, and it just didn't look right. So, so we'll leave that at that. If you want to see what the Yeti looked like, yeah, go check it out on YouTube. Also, the Shockmaster. Um, that was the biggest flop of a debut um, of all time. Yes, the Yeti was a mummy. Made no sense. Made no sense. And yeah, I agree with DJ B. Taz. Eva Marie is not that bad. Oh God, you guys keep throwing out these old gimmicks. Eva Marie wasn't that bad. I was trying to be nice. Big Show humped Hulk Hogan. Yes, that's true. I think the Giant, as he was known, and the Yeti humped Hulk Hogan. Yes, I was trying to avoid the word humped, but yes, that's exactly what it looked like. So, Brandy with the Macho Man elbow off the top rope says, "I've been trying to be fairly quiet, but I'm blind, and I even know how bad Eva Marie was. Also, no fake redheads on the high tag." Oh, that was a good one. Brandy off the top rope. With that one, yeah, that's amazing. Brandy, you're awesome. I'm trying to be nice. I really am trying to be nice. But yes, yeah, even Marie had some struggles in the ring, but you know what? That was a time in which they were just going for the eye candy stuff and didn't put a lot of emphasis on the wrestling. Um, which which yeah, I really wish they would have taken a little more time to give the women a little more shine and put more of an emphasis on the in ring stuff back then, because they had some really talented women in the WWF at the time that could really wrestle, but they never really got a chance to because WWE was just trying to capitalize on that 18 to 35 demo. Here I am talking about demos again. Um, but yeah, so guys, here I'm gonna tell a quick story real quick to end this episode. But I've had a lot of fun doing this. Hopefully you guys have too. But I actually got into wrestling because um, in college we had a an advanced TV production class that I was in, and we had to do a documentary, and we chose independent professional wrestling, and the guys that we went to interview for the documentary, um, they said, it'd be really cool if you guys had someone that trained to wrestle, just so you could see what it's like to go through everything. So all the guys were like, um, yeah, Jeff, you should do it because you're the biggest one out of all of us. Like that had anything to do with anything. But anyway, so that's what we did. And, the rest is history. I trained and it kicked my butt. And I didn't think it was going to be that hard because I was like, you know what? I've been an athlete all my life. I was in the military. I was in the National Guard, so I'd gone through basic training and all those things. So I was like, yeah, I can take this, and yeah, that it kicked my butt. Like the first week, I was like, what did I get myself into? But yeah, that's the origin story. I will go into more detail though when we do our Ask the Insiders um, episode with me. So, Days fan, I was just joking, buddy. Don't take it seriously. Um, I I tried to walk it back a little bit. I did tell you I was going to turn heel. Um, Johnny Bates says hitting the ropes is one of the funnest things to do as long as you watch your footsteps. Um, I looked like I had two left feet the first few the first few days we ran the ropes. So yeah, it was pretty bad. I'm trying to track down um, some footage to put on our channel. So just know that just about everything then was on VHS, and um, yeah, it was sometimes not the best quality, but I am trying to track down some stuff so we can so you guys can see um, some of my in-ring action. So okay guys, so thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I had a lot of fun with this. Hope you did. Days fan, I hope you had fun even though I made you mad and other people made you mad. I promise you we're all doing this in fun. Um, but but yeah, this was a lot of fun, guys, and we'll be back tomorrow night for Talking Shop of Mania. We're gonna do a watch along with that. Um, and again, if you haven't subscribed, please follow us on Twitch. Subscribe on YouTube. You can check us out on Periscope. Also, if you guys want to take the Insiders on the go, we're on just about every single podcast platform that you can imagine. Anchor, Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Periscope, Overcast. I think I said Pocket Cast, but I'm going to say it again. Radio Public, and so many more. So yeah, take us on the go, and go back and listen to some of our old interviews, old episodes, and yeah, just keep supporting us like you are. We really appreciate it, and we will see you again tomorrow night for those of you that will be joining us. So again, take care, and we'll see you tomorrow night.